Hello my dear subscribers. First world champion Wilhelm Steinitz, long before winning his title, was a prominent supporter of the combination school and one of the first romantics of chess in the 19th century. Now I will show him a game in which he brilliantly sacrificed his queen. It all happened in Vienna in 1862. Steinitz plays white and his opponent Pilhal plays black. So whites start with e4, black responds by advancing the pawn, e5. Steinitz attacks the pawn, the opponent defends with a knight developing along the way and appears on the board. Italian party. White aims at the f7 point and black at the f2 pawn and Wilhelm applies Evans' sharpest gambit, and white sacrifices a pawn in order to capture the center with tempo after the move c3. The bishop retreats to a5, the future first world champion takes the king to the shelter. Blacks are preparing evacuation of the king by pressing the e4 pawn. Steinitz attacks e5 and here the most optimal solution would be simple castling to the short side, regardless of what white takes on e5. Black breaks through on e4 and gets an excellent play, but instead in the game Pilhal takes the central pawn. Steinitz cuts off the king's path from the refuge. White's idea is simple, keep the king in the center of the board, then fall on him with all the might of superior forces. It seemed that the blacks managed to block the oxygen bishop and now they will escape from justice, but by sacrificing the second pawn Steinitz achieves his goal. He plays bishop and now they will escape from justice, but by sacrificing the second pawn Steinitz achieves his goal. He plays. The idea was to go d5 to attack the bishop and protect his knight on the e4 square, but instead Pilhal decided to repel the attack with pawns and go to the winning ending. But with Steinitz such things did not pass. He plays qb3 pouring on the f7 point. Black defends with queen d7, continuing to stubbornly stick to his line. White plays rook e1 with the idea of breaking through on e5, opening the line for heavy artillery. e4 black makes no sense to move, the pawn will connect it and white can increase the pressure on the f7 point by jumping to g5, so black moves the queen to f5, thus protecting the pawn. It was possible to take the pawn on f7 right now, but Steinitz considered that it was much more important to clear the e-file for the rook, so he moved with bishop b5 pinning the knight and renewing the threat of strike on e5. Pilhal does not want to lose extra pawns. Steinitz strengthened pressure on the e5 pawn and creates a threat of eliminating the bishop's defense, so black breaks through on c3. A double blow follows an exchange on this square. Well, the pawn on e5 died heroically after all. It turns out you can't capture with a knight because capturing with a rook using a pin means winning the queen. Therefore, in the game Pilhal decided to attack white's strongest piece but missed the brilliant queen sacrifice. Now, in case of capture on d7, white breaks through on e7 with a check for the king to retreat and takes the bishop with check. Receives a huge material advantage. Well, checkmate is just around the corner. But in the game Pilhal decided to accept queen sacrifice by capturing on square d5. Steinitz announces a move from the bishop and from the knight the king must retreat. But regardless of where he goes, checkmate is inevitable. The game was followed by king f8 e7 checkmate.